Hi, my name is Bill Raymond, and I'm just learning JavaScript and React. Nearly all the YouTube videos and blogs seem to use Sublime, so I decided to install that. But I noticed people had features in Sublime that I didn't, and no one ever explains how to get them set up. So I figured I'd put this video together for you as I'm learning. Hopefully this will help you as well. To install Sublime, you just want to go to the download link. Remember, this is a paid product, but you can download it for free to start using it. I'm going to download the Windows 64-bit because I know I have Windows 64-bit installed. But if you're not sure, just download this one that says Windows, and then I'll install the 32-bit version. There's no big difference. I'll just go ahead and select this, save it, and run it. The wizard here is pretty straightforward. Just choose the defaults as you see fit. But here where it says Add to Explorer context menu, I'm going to show you this and how helpful this is later. I suggest you turn this on and click Next and install it. Finish. The next thing that we want to do is get the icon here down on the Windows Start bar. So I'm going to go to the Start menu, and I'll just type Sublime and press Enter. This runs Sublime. You can see it's unregistered, so I need to register that after I purchase it. Right down here at the icon, you need to right-click and choose Pin to Taskbar. This way, when you exit, you can see the icon is still down here, and you have easy access to run Sublime again. There's another thing you might want to do in order to get Sublime running for you. I'm going to walk you through a typical scenario. You type npm init to create a brand new project, and there's a little wizard that kind of walks you through the entire solution. And then when you're done, it creates a file. So I'll just clear my screen and type dir. And you can see there's that package.json file. The next thing you're probably going to do is edit that package.json file. And unfortunately, you can't run Sublime from here right now. If I type Sublime or subl, you can see there's no way for me to run it. However, we can add Sublime to our path. Now, be aware, if you're going to do this, you're going to need to leave the command prompt first and come back in for the setting to take place. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Explorer, go to the C drive, and locate program files. If you downloaded the 32-bit version, you're going to have to go here. The 64-bit version will be here. And then we're going to locate the Sublime folder, which is right here. I'm going to open that. And you can see the executable for Sublime is just subl.exe. We'll remember that for later. For now, come up here to the top address bar and click in that area, and you can see the folder is C program files Sublime text 3. Copy that to the clipboard, and now you can just close that window. Now we're going to come here to the Start menu and type environment variables. And I just typed environ and it shows up here. And I'll just go ahead and select this. Next, I'll click the environment variables button, find the path item, and then click edit. Here we're going to add a new path, and I'm going to just choose new and paste Control V that text in for the location of Sublime text 3. Click OK, and click OK. Now let's go back to the commands prompt. And I'm going to go into Documents, my projects, and my new Hello World application. And as you remember, we have the Sublime, the package.json file here. Now I can type subl package.json, and when I press enter, you can see Sublime will automatically run. This is a really quick tip. You'll almost always want to be able to quickly get to the editor from the command line. Okay, so we are in Sublime, and I'm going to walk you through a few things just to get familiar with the user interface. First of all, if you are in the Windows version, you'll have these menus along the top. The Mac will be slightly different. Preferences, for example, is going to be on the far left side of the screen, but for the most part, they're all the same menu items. Like any text editor, you can go to File, Open, and you can open a file. I'm going to close this because one of the powerful things with Sublime and some of these new editing tools like Visual Studio Code and Atom is that you can just go ahead and open up a folder. And rather than the folder showing up as, let's say, a tab at the top of the screen, instead it shows up on the left. So for example, I'm going to open up this folder called React Hello World and click Select Folder. Now you can see all of the folders and files contained underneath that React Hello World folder. Now the first thing people ask me is, how do I close this? Well, I can go File, Close All Files. I can go File, Close Window. But every time you run Sublime, this is still going to show up here in your folders. So if you don't want this project open anymore, what you do is you right-click and choose Remove Folder from Project. So if you want to reopen it, you just reopen the folder. Now let's get into editing a little bit. First of all, actually before we do that, I did want to show you one other thing, and that has to do with the look and feel of the screen. You'll notice under Preferences, there'll be a color scheme, and there's a number of different color schemes here. I have Monokai selected. I believe there's a Monokai Light and a Monokai Dark on the Mac, but what I'd suggest you do is start with whatever it defaults to initially, and then find something that suits your needs. You might find that some of the packages, which we'll get into in a minute later, have kind of change depending on the scheme that you have set up. So I like to just kind of stick with Monokai. I'll probably end up changing at some point after I even get more familiar with Sublime. But let's go ahead and open up a file. So I'll just expand App here, and I'll open this index file. All I'm doing is single clicking. So if I single click on index.html, index.js, you can see that it's just opening the file. Now, if I want to open up more tabs here, what I do is, for example, index.css is displayed right now. If I want the HTML file open up, I'll just double click on that. And double click on this, and you can see I'm starting to open up tabs along the top of the page. Of course, if you want to close a tab, you just press little X. And I'm going to make an edit. Watch this little X icon here. I'm going to make an edit just by pressing Enter. And notice how the X is now a circle. That circle is telling you that the file has not been saved yet. So if I do try to close it, it's going to say, do you want to save changes, yes or no? I will also point out that if you add more files to this folder, even from Windows Explorer, it'll automatically show up here. So most of the time, you do not need to refresh these folders if you add new files. Now, notice also that by default, Sublime has identified the fact that this is actually a CSS file. How do I know? Because it's showing body with red and background tone green and this sort of aqua color here. It's automatically formatting for me. And let's go to this index.html file. You can see that it's automatically formatting the HTML, recognizing HTML. Well, how's it doing that? There's a number of ways to get to menus within Sublime, and you're going to find all sorts of interesting ways to do this. But what I like to do when I'm on a file is just come down here to the bottom right-hand corner, and you can see it says HTML. I'm going to go to the CSS file, and notice it sees CSS. If I were to come back here to the HTML file and I click on HTML, you can see there's a whole number of different options that come default with Sublime. So it actually automatically recognizes all of these various programming languages. So for example, if I changed this to Groovy, notice how the look and feel of this changed. We're doing HTML, so we can go back and select that, and now it's showing us the HTML formatting. So anytime you want to change the, if you will, the display of this file, you can just come down here. Now let's talk about something else that's pretty powerful with this tool and many others. I'm going to go File, New File. And you're going to see this frequently in demonstrations when people create a new file and they say to name it first and then they get into it. Well, in Sublime Text 2, when you created a new file, you had to name it first. In Sublime Text 3, it automatically creates this untitled. And you might even see some people do some cool stuff like put together an HTML file by typing HTML and pressing Tab. But notice that nothing's happening here. Now, if I come to File, Save, and I call it newfile.html, now watch what happens. I can type HTML and press Tab, and it automatically creates a scaffolding for me for an HTML file. And this is called a snippet. And there's lots of snippets out there available to you if you don't have the ones that are inside of Sublime. I encourage you to go and Google search for other snippets. I'm just giving you a sense of what you can do. There's snippets for everything, and certainly you can even type in HTML bits, and that will automatically create a snippet for you as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And the next thing we're going to do is talk about installing packages, which other editors might call plugins or add-ons or add-ins, but here they're called packages. I'm going to show you why packages are really important to Sublime and, frankly, any other visual editor, text editor that you can use. So I'm going to come over here to index.js and open this file up. Index.js is a JavaScript file. It has the extension .js, and it uses some regular Java. But it's also doing some programming with React and this technology called Babel that allows you to kind of create React code, and then it gets later converted into regular JavaScript language. Now, what you can see here is that we're returning this div tag with hello world. And notice how the tags are different colors. That's because it doesn't format with JavaScript that well, because we're using a slightly different way of programming. And down here, it looks like Sublime doesn't even understand what on earth this whole render thing is. If I look down here at the bottom, it does say that I'm in JavaScript. And if I click on this and go to JavaScript, you can see it's actually using the right format. But we're using this format that is also referred to as Babel. And if I want to format this JS file using this sort of Babel formatting, I can type Control-Shift-P for Paul and pull up a command. Now, this command actually is something that you'll use a lot. You can basically access almost any of the menu items that are at the top of the screen, to File, go to Preferences, Tools, things like that. So what we're going to do, though, is install the package manager. And I'm just going to type install, and you can see there's a install package control option. I'll press Enter, and it's installed. So now I can install other packages. Just so you're aware, you might need to exit the first time you do this and come back in. I have found that every now and again, after you install the package manager, you do need to come back in. I don't know why. But again, I'm going to do Control-Shift-P for Paul, or you can do Command-Shift-P on the Mac. And now I'm going to type in install again, but this time you can see here there's an install package option. So I can use my my keyboard to go up and down and choose install package and press enter. Here's a list of packages that are available, and it's a long list. I mean, there's thousands of things that you can choose from here. Notice that there are URLs underneath each one of them. You can go here to get instructions on how to use these, because sometimes, as you'll see in just a moment, you'll install them and think everything's going to change in the tool, and it doesn't, and you don't know why. So you might need to go get the instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and type Babel. And here I'm just going to press enter on that first option. And look down at the bottom of the screen. You can see it's installing. And very quickly, and now it's indexing the files, and there, it's done. So now I'm going to come down to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Notice that our text is still yellow here, and these div tags are a little off. I'm going to come here to the bottom of the screen. Then I'm going to choose Babel instead of JavaScript. This is new. This wasn't there before. And now I can say this is JavaScript Babel. And now look what happened. Our div tags are accurately displayed. And also it's recognizing this whole React DOM.render thing. Now, if I were to type this code here, React DOM.render, and do a parenthesis and start typing, notice I'm not really getting any help. And so I'd like some help. And I also would like to know if I'm doing anything wrong. Like, for example, I did not type the right syntax. I did an uppercase rather than a lowercase kind of a thing. So I found out later that there's actually a better way to do this than using that Babel tool. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-P, and I'm going to remove a package just so you can see what that's like. It's not uninstall. You actually have to type the word remove. And you can see here's remove package. I'll press enter, and then I'll just press enter on Babel. And you can see what happens. Now the text is pure white. And if I look down here at the bottom of the screen, it says plain text. So if I want to get it just to some of the basic JavaScript highlighting, I can click on that and go back to JavaScript. Now what I'm going to do is install the TypeScript plugin instead. I should say plugin package. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-P again, install package, and now I'm going to type TypeScript. Now, what's TypeScript? TypeScript is actually it's almost like a programming language that Microsoft created and allows you to type in code in JavaScript that's much easier to understand, but it also allows you to get the formatting, and it gives you type ahead and some other really nice features. So I'll just go ahead and install TypeScript. You can see it installs down here. And now what I'm going to do is come down to the bottom right-hand corner, and notice that Babel thing is gone because we uninstalled it. And now I'm going to go and scroll through, and I'm going to find TypeScript. And then I can choose TypeScript React. Now let's see what happens when I remove this and then start typing myself. I'm just going to type React DOM dot render, and I'm just pressing the tab key here, and see it's giving me this type ahead capability. Also, when I do the parentheses, there's not much that it can tell me, but it is giving me some helpful hints here. And then I can just go ahead and type app. I type doc, and it says document dot get element by name. See, it's saying that's a method. And as I'm typing, I'm getting even more helpful information here. Now, I'm done with this, but here's the challenge. It doesn't look too good. I just typed a whole bunch of stuff, and the formatting didn't kind of come out the way I would have preferred. One of the nice things that TypeScript provides is a formatting option. So if you type Control T as in Tom, F as in Frank, whoops, Control T to F, you can see what it did is it formatted the document. Let me just undo. You can see what it did, and I'll just redo it a few times. So undo, redo. So that's what the Control TF did, and then I can just kind of clean up my code like that. The other nice thing that it provides is you can see I have a class here that I typed up. Well, if I want to just kind of get started with a class, and I can just go ahead and type class. See, it recognizes the word class with that 3 dots. I can just go ahead and press tab, and it will create a class constructor for me. And then, it's not all done for me, but I can at least get started, and I can press tab to go through the various elements of this and do whatever I need to do. So type something like react.component. .component. There we go. So that's basically how you use TypeScript from a beginner's perspective. And again, I'm a beginner, so I'm just learning. But these are the things that were hard for me to get used to before I started going online and starting to learn JavaScript and React and TypeScript. Now that I have this set up, everything kind of works a little bit nicer for me. You'll find many different ways to set up your environment. Thank you for watching this video. Please press the like button if this was a useful video for you, and please subscribe to our channel. It's really helpful for us if you're looking for more videos. Thank you.